Hi, welcome. My name is Claire Wool. I am chairperson of the Burlington School Board. I represent Ward 6 of the Burlington School District's elected body, our constituents of Ward 6. And I am so excited to be here tonight. One, to welcome back our families, public school families in the city of Burlington to all of our schools, and to share with you ways in which we want you to all be a part of our school communities. This month in September in the North Avenue News, we put out a monthly column as school board members, sharing information on how you can get to know your school communities, issues that are important to you, and also community issues. We welcome all citizens of Burlington to support our school districts as they represent neighborhood communities. Tonight, I'm so excited to have with us 3 other members of our school communities that cross different schools based on their families. But I would like to take the time to welcome first and have everybody introduce themselves. So we welcome Gretchen, Latasha, and Carrie, and I'll let them say a little bit about themselves.
I'm Gretchen Platt. I have 2 middle schoolers at Edmonds Middle School, and I have 2 kids at Edmonds Elementary School, and I'm on the PTO at the elementary school.
I'm Latasha. I have a daughter at BHS, and she's a junior, and I am your neighborhood-friendly crossing guard.
Hi, thanks for having us, Claire. My name's Carrie Mathis, and I have a 10th grader at BHS and a 7th grader at Edmonds Middle School, and I am on the PTO there.
Great. Tonight's tonight's opportunity to speak to everyone was really about how we support school districts. As elected officials, there are 12 school board members. Our goal is to work within those wards that we represent, but we really rely on the families that are at each of the schools to give us a sense of support that's needed, spirit when it's needed, information, communication. As district representatives, we don't have the pulse of what's happening in each of the schools. So we want to support you, and we want families to feel a sense of belonging and well-being at each of the schools. When people reach out to us, typically we always say, have you reached out to your school community and the families that go to that school? Tonight, in talking about what made you all feel welcomed and belonging at each of your schools, or your first impressions, what sticks out for you as a memory where you felt a sense of belonging at a school with your children? Is there anything specific, or was it a welcome back, meeting a teacher, open house, things that provided you the opportunity to feel a sense of where your child spends their day and what makes up that community?
Well, we've been at Edmonds Elementary School for 9 years, and I just have always been impressed with the community support that everyone has for each other, and that the previous PTO leaders, started all these wonderful events to get us all together after school, as well as, just drop-offs and things like that, a welcome back coffee, just ways to bring new families into the fold a bit. And that's just always felt great at Edmonds.
Great.
Tasha. Our first year at Edmonds, you guys had a pizza cookout. It was a welcoming back to school event, and everyone was so nice. And so it just looked like it was going to be fun, and it was.
Great. Carrie.
I think my interest, I got pulled in strongly in kindergarten when my eldest was in kindergarten at Champlain. Mm-hmm. There's just really great teachers and a really strong parent community, and I did a lot of gardening at the school, and then that turned into being on the PTO there and running Harvest Fest, and it grew from there, and I've been on it ever since.
Great. I think that when I made a slide, I'll move to the next slide, it said, who is the PTO and what does the PTO do? I can read the slide. You're the PTO, families and community within the school. If you're a family or staff member of your school, you are already a part of our PTO, your PTO. Together, PTOs support our schools through community activities, events, and fundraising efforts. There are so many ways to support our schools, inside or outside, during the day or after hours, regularly or one time only. Our school communities are stronger when we are all engaged. And what does the PTO do? Our PTO organizations at each of our schools are run entirely by volunteers who work to build community among families within that school community. That really does it, everyone is a volunteer. I love when family members say, a one-time volunteer support makes the world a difference. Modeling, opportunities for your children, or if you're a caregiver, when children see you invested in a community, they take pride in their school spirit. Ways that we communicate out to our families. We have a district calendar, which I'll show later on in the slides, that show, for example, tonight it was CP Smith's PTO night, meeting night, so they were unable to come, and other schools. But once a month, typically, PTOs get together and I know it can be challenging because typically if you have children at the school, it might be bedtime or dinner time where people are, need to be at home. But they have once a month a meeting at the school just to talk with the principals most of the time present, ways in which volunteer families, parents or caregivers can support the school, what the needs of the school are based on that time of year, whether it's outside help, gardening, green up, or social events for the children that are after school hours that faculty and staff have gone home for the day. When we talk about those monthly commitments, are your meetings, is there Zoom capabilities, Carrie and Gretchen, and has attendance? I know I'm talking about post-COVID, we were out of school for almost, it seemed like 2 years, a year and a half. Families moved on to other schools, or some stayed. How was the rebuilding? Did you feel like people, once you put the word out that we're starting up again, how's your attendance at meetings been? Carrie?
I would say it's gone down a lot, but we do offer a hybrid of a virtual meeting and in person now. So a few people show up, and then a good handful will tune in. So I guess we're lucky that we can still do that, I guess, because it makes it more convenient for people who aren't able to attend in person.
Understood, yeah.
I would say we're definitely still rebuilding. I think Edmonds Elementary has always had a really strong PTO, and I think COVID did shift that. But I feel really like we're in a better place this year going into the year as far as we have our meetings on the calendar. They're going to be Zoom or in person. We're going to try out having them right after drop-off in the morning some of the time and see if that helps, some more people attend, and then maybe alternate between a morning and an evening, but also have the Zoom option. I think one of the big things is trying to get the word out that it could be 15 minutes of someone's time that helps, or you could be like me, I'm running around all the time, but not everyone has to do that level of participation to really help. And that's a big part of, I think, having more people involved, more families involved, is knowing that it can be 15 minutes. It could be doing some work on the website or our calendar of events and things like that. But it can also be helping to run a grill at a barbecue, or lots of different options. So.
Understood, yeah. That is our goal in highlighting how families can get involved as a school board member and former PTO volunteer, whether being the chair of the school board or helping out as chair of the PTO. Again, one-time events or continually showing up at meetings, but I am so happy that COVID brought us the Zoom alternative, because having never used that medium, I always felt it was incredibly challenging, and switching from morning meetings or night meetings just to get together, even the consumption of work-life balance and reading emails is exhausting to families. So how do you engage them, and how do you reach out to them, and how do you communicate to them? So I will go through the next slide is again, just letting people know slowly but surely. It was in the North Avenue News. We're going to list it on our website. Each of the schools' website does have their contact information. So we start alphabetically with Burlington High School. It's called Seahorse Pride. It's a Gmail account, and those are your Burlington High School Seahorse Pride PTO volunteers. Next is Champlain Elementary. There are many more Champlain Elementary leaders, but Buddy is the go-to, and that's the way you can get in contact with Champlain Elementary. And again, in the drop-down menu of each of our schools' website, it will say, PTO, click on PTO, and typically, even if some of the information is outdated, we're trying to make sure that all these email addresses are a way where you can get connected. CP Smith, speaking with these great group of people. Again, they have their meeting tonight. I'm so excited that they are in the process and have successfully reorganized after COVID with a strong cohort of volunteers. Next, Edmonds Elementary. Gretchen is here. We have Kim and Irene. Thank you for your support. And again, it's another example of it's up to the parent volunteers to create email addresses or best ways to get in touch with people because we're all in this digital age. Next is Edmonds Middle School. Thank you, Carrie, for being here tonight. And I know Connie, as well as Rebecca, we're so grateful for their volunteerism and leadership at EMS PTO. Hunt Middle School, Marcella and Christina. Again, seeing the transition of people like Christina go from SA to Hunt. We are so excited for Hunt's new leadership and for their PTO. And they included two ways to get in touch. One is a blog spot and one is a Gmail for communication. Following up with Integrated Arts, Molly and Skunk, there are also other members of the IAA PTO community that are listed as well on their website, along with their mission statement and ways to get involved. JJ Flynn, Emily, and Karen are new and excited to support the JJ Flynn School. And Emily had reached out, for example, with a lot of questions of how do we all work together, potentially as a unified PTO, to stay engaged all together. So we're aware of events that are happening and potentially share resources or opportunities when they come to fruition, potentially within the district as a whole. Sustainability, ways to get involved at the Sustainability Academy with a great group of volunteers as well. Who are supporting the school, and things like, for example, the pancake breakfast they did in the spring that was a fundraiser, served as a fundraiser, and was hugely successful within the community and outreach of the neighborhood. So again, big props and appreciation for sustainability. And then as we talked about, or as I shared earlier, on our website, this is the first year that our calendar and handbook is digital. So for those of you who are tech savvy, can download the calendar and keep it in your desktop, or come to our school community as well and pick up a hard copy of the calendar. So the hard copy is still there. People love still the hard copy to be able to circle dates that are important to them and their family, but that this calendar is available online through our bsdvt.org. Click on calendar and it'll come up. I'll give you an example of all the numbers. It has every number imaginable, old school number that might not be saved in your phone that you might want to moving forward. I took a snapshot, so some of the information is condensed, but it has names and numbers. And I like the names because sometimes you don't know who to reach out to if you're trying to contact someone in the district. And this is a sample of the calendar as it exists with PTO information, event open houses, parent-teacher conferences, district days off. Again, hard copy can be picked up at everybody's school that they attend, and also this is online, a month-by-month listing of events at our school. And I can go back to, focus on families, outward communication. How do you feel as a parent? What ways do you like to receive and give, communicate out? What is the most effective to you? Is it, I would say it's not the paper in the backpack of your child, or is it texting, we do robocalls, school newsletters. Are they timely? Are they weekly? What has felt good to you, or how do you feel informed? Where do you get your information about your schools?
I think all of the things you listed help. I mean, especially being on the PTO, we'll say, okay, well, not everybody's reading email anymore, frankly. And so we'll say, let's put something in the backpack again. And then we'll get kids, running out of the building like, oh, I have this paper I have to show my parents. So I feel like there's, all of those have been ways that we've gotten to more families and made sure people are involved. And I think with my kids, get all the different avenues to get information. So.
Tasha?
I would say emails. And for me, a familiar name gets my attention when I receive an email. And then I zoom in on what is going on and go from there. Email.
Okay.
I would agree with email.
Yeah.
And also the robocalls are helpful if you're
Oh, yeah.
busy or at the grocery store or something, and
Yes, the
you're not
calls.
always checking your email.
Calls are good, yeah.
So having those both is helpful.
Great.
And as far as PTOs go, I think monthly newsletters are really helpful, sending out to the families. And we rely on social media as well.
Great. And have you had any, I know certain welcome back, this is our, week and a half into the first week and a half of school, right? Or to almost 2 weeks?
Yes.
How has the welcome back, did you have your events or were things postponed? I know Champlain had, I know you're not at Champlain anymore, but they had their Harvest Fest Friday before the rain or during the rain.
They got a little
wet, and
We postponed our barbecue.
Yeah.
Based on the forecast.
And then it started the downpour at 6:45, and we thought, okay.
thank goodness
So
the meteorologist
we're going
is
to
right.
make it happen at a later date, though.
Great.
Yeah.
And how do you feel as 3 parents within the district? Do you feel informed by the superintendent updates? Do you feel that those are timely? And or I shouldn't ask, what is your take on or response feelings about our communication out as a district?
I feel well informed.
Yeah.
I think I really appreciate the emails with all the information as far as the high school project, where the district is going with curriculum. All of those things are out there in the emails that Tom sends, and I think they're great.
You're going to say something? Yeah.
Yes, I appreciate the emails and the letters from the superintendent. It's like more personal. It's like when you get that email, you have to listen.
Right. You feel it has
Yeah.
some weight to it.
Yes.
It's not. They're not so many, but they're
Yes.
when it's needed. So it's not a weekly update to the community. It's we do it through Front Porch Forum. If you're not a BSD family, you get it from the superintendent Flanagan. If you have a child in the public schools, the greater community receives it through Front Porch Forum, and we do receive a lot of queries or inquiries from citizens who want to know more about how we're participating in a way, what's going on within the district as it comes to, again, depending on each month or timing, whether it's budget related, school project related, curriculum related. But I'm happy to hear that you appreciate and they're informative to you, because
Yes.
that's communication, we all talk about that, but knowledge is power.
Yes.
And it really does support, even though we live in a big city, if everyone has concise messaging, we're doing our job well, you're well informed. And when people used to say, well, I heard, and I would say, like, let me know who's saying that so I can, let them know where we're at or what the reality is. In your opinion, is fundraising necessary? Do you feel like in order to do your events, you don't just explain to the public, you don't have a budget, so anything you do supports the school, or how have you in the past done fundraising for your PTOs? I mean, without just whether it's selling stuff or by
Right.
direct ask donation or.
I feel like that is 80% of what we do is fundraising.
Okay.
because we do a lot. We
For example, what do you support with your fundraising?
we support teachers and staff. We clean and stock their lunchroom monthly. We do teacher appreciation lunches. We support the band. We support the play. We support orchestra. We help get instruments. We support classroom projects, like the 6th grade kid Iditarod. We buy all the supplies for that. The school dance. We bought the new sign for the school last year. And we also hold money for teams. We're sort of their bank. We just hold it when they need it, when they fundraise for their classrooms.
Whether it's an extra enrichment project that they want to do or that they might not have school budget funds for.
Exactly.
Okay.
And student-led initiatives.
That's
Yeah.
great. Great. And at the elementary level?
Yeah, at Edmonds, we're lucky enough to have this chocolate sale that we do every fall. So if kids come to your house, please buy chocolates. That's our big fundraiser at this point. And we also do a no frills fundraiser, but the big one is our chocolate sales for Dan's Chocolates. And that supports all the events we're able to put on, you know, whether we're getting stuff for a barbecue or having a carnival called Mayfair in the spring. We also are able to help teachers if they need things for the classroom. We do,
beyond what they
yeah,
typically do.
exactly. We also do a coat swap, but sometimes if we know a specific kiddo needs something, we'll help with that.
Field trips?
Yep, field trips. Yep, field trips. We also do, whatever. We give a certain amount of money per child for field trips, and then the teachers can decide where they go. We also do something called Math Night, which the kids really love. There's this local woman who comes in with all these activities to do that are math related, and the kids just eat it up. We do a skate night at Letty, so we have a lot of different evening, late afternoon activities we do,
Great.
which helps enrich our whole community at Edmonds. So.
Right, right. And we're lucky too because our after-school program at the elementary and middle school level is incredibly robust, and as well as at BHS. I know we have a new after-school coordinator, but those activities where students who are cross-section of grades get to know other students. And I always used to say, you know, when we meet families in the beginning, always, you know, it's cool to share your families, you know, how to contact them so that you can get together because we are in a city school. Our schools are large comparative to Vermont standards. You know, we have elementary schools at 300 plus, our middle school is 400 plus, and our high school 1,000 students. So we can still create communities within that large student population. At this point, you know, focusing on families, outward communication, what we talked about, organizing differentiated events, providing yearly calendars, integrated events and activities, is if anyone came up and had an idea, whether it was multicultural night, whether it was, you know, what they, you know, there are parameters of what we can fundraise for or do events on the school, but anything's possible.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
true.
That's great.
That's true.
And I know I'd like to talk about now, Latasha, your role in being the Edmonds campus, one of the Edmonds campus crossing guards. Tell me
Yes.
how you got into that role or what made you choose that profession in regards to being a member of the community.
To get familiar with the community. You know, that's how I introduced myself. You know, to get familiar with everyone, the parents, the kids. It made my kids known because everyone knows their mom is the crossing guard. And yeah, and it's very rewarding. It's to have a job that's meaningful and to be appreciated. The first job I've ever had like that. Very little hours, but yeah.
Sense of community.
Yes.
And when, I mean, just out of curiosity, the age of your students are from kindergarten, pre-K.
Oh,
We have pre-K at Edmonds all
yeah.
the way up to 8th grade.
Yes.
Do we have independent folks, you know, young kids crossing? And what's the majority? Are there a lot of parents coming with their children?
A lot of
Just-
parents travel with their kids, walk with their kids, ride bikes with their kids.
And where's your post? Just Your main.
South Willard and Main Street.
Okay.
South
That's
Willard
a
and
busy
Main.
street.
Yes, and some of my teams, my teenagers rather, they're pretty independent. So I kind of get them their space, and I might just walk across the street with them. I
Right.
might not hold the sign up. I just follow along.
Right.
You know, I don't want to treat them like a kid.
Right. Well, that's great. I mean, you get to see the action, and through
Oh, yes.
every season. And I know that how meaningful it is. In the past at Edmonds, I know we did appreciation for all those that work there. And I know as we come out of COVID, even though it still is existing and affecting some of our classrooms to date, those opportunities to get together as a community.
Yes.
And for you in your role, I know I had seen you on the news during the time, because we are still short-staffed. We
Yeah.
are, as a school district, whether your student might come home and say, or we don't have enough substitutes, or we're missing, positions in our food service area as well, some academic positions as well. We want the community to know and use this opportunity that we are still actively hiring in the school year, and that we are still looking for folks mainly in the paraeducator field, assisting families, students, within the school community, with our food service always. And I would ask the PTOs as well, share out that information. I know I've seen some school districts post on Front Porch Forum, South Burlington or CVU, neighboring communities, listing job opportunities, also after-school help. But there are some positions at our schools that, even if you had a child, are school hours. So that if you were thinking of being, whether your opportunity to be an at-home caregiver or a parent, and you want to be present, but you are also looking potentially for some hours, we have jobs that you might be interested in. So please, if you go to our website again, bsdvt.org, under Human Resources, there's an immediate link. You can see all the postings. Another way to also potentially have a job opportunity is some of our coaching opportunities. We're a district that, fortunately, we support athletics as well, and drama and after-school activities are in our budget, and we have some coaching positions that still need to be filled. I would share that we have had an incredible success rate with Burlington High School students returning post-secondary career or education to coach our schools, Edmonds, Hunt, and Burlington High School. That's an incredible give back to our community, because we know that coaching positions are, sometimes can never be vacant, or we have a high turnover, depending on the sport and the person that's been coaching, their commitment to that. But middle school is a challenge at times for coaching positions. So again, families that might want to coach their son or daughter, or a child in any of those events, to please look on our website, HR website, for opening and vacancies. Leadership opportunities, how, like Carrie had mentioned, getting people to help out. You were asked or begged by other family members to take it over. Is that typically, when you see a family that's, time commitment,
Well,
or do you divide it among people? How do you share the leadership?
How we operate at the middle school is different than when I was PTO president at elementary school.
How so?
There we just had a larger board. I think parents are more involved in elementary school, and then, they get busier, and the teenagers get busier. And at the middle school level, the former PTO, they were all leaving because their kiddos were moving on to high school. But they knew us as former elementary school leaders and asked us to step in.
Okay.
So we just couldn't leave it hanging there high and dry, so we stepped in.
Thank you.
It can be challenging to get volunteers, but each year with a new crop of sixth graders, that opens up the pool more. And
Great.
so we'll have our first PTO meeting of the year tomorrow night. and hopefully meet all those new families.
That's true. You know, that's how the incoming families that are new that you know, can entice to be, especially middle school, 6th grade families who will be there for the next 3 years.
Exactly.
And again, quantity, you know, so nobody gets burnout in your volunteer roles, you know, and having, I know there are some PTOs that have presidents or co-chairs, and again, depending on the outcome of people that are able to support leadership roles, I see, you know, that is evident in their PTO sort of masthead of who's supporting who and communications and breakdowns. And Gretchen, how did you fall into your opportunity?
I think, you know, there's often emails that go out asking for help, and it's different though when someone comes up to you and asks you specifically, and then you think, oh, sure, okay, and then you walk away like, oh, what did I sign up for?
Right, right.
You can ignore an email, but it's great to have that face, you know, that familiar face come up to you and ask you, you know, 15 minutes or whatever it is. But I would say that's been our biggest way of getting more people involved, for sure.
And I would say,
conversations.
Yeah, and Latasha, when Seahorse Pride, you know, does a shout out for volunteer or helping out. Is that?
It's like she said, it's certain names that I see. Like if I see Nancy's name, I'm like, Nancy needs help.
Yes.
Because
She was at Edmonds too.
Yeah.
Nancy
so-
Westbrook, who's a
Yes.
leader on the Seahorse Pride.
Yeah, so yeah, I like to jump in if she need help because she's a very hard worker. And for parent and teacher
appreciation.
Yes, I will come and make a donation because I appreciate teachers.
Yeah, yeah. The last
don't
time
want
I
them
saw
to.
you was before your post. You were dropping off a
Yeah.
fruit platter for teacher breakfast appreciation for the spring. So yeah, before work, after work, you know, being cognizant that we're all working individuals in this community, and you know, time is valuable. Being specific of our ask, you know, what can people do, rather than, you know, can you help? What does that mean? You know, like, am I committing everything or just time slots? I know sign-up sheets, you know, Sign-up Genius.
is the best.
Oh,
What a
yeah.
great tool for people to be able to, you don't get stuck with 15 people bringing bagels for teacher appreciation. You know, you can be specific. And how do you feel your own children with your roles at school? How would you say they're appreciative of your volunteerism, appreciate you being there or helping out? What's their take on support?
They love it when I do all that.
Help out.
Same.
I think my oldest would like me to do more in the middle school, but I haven't quite leapt
over.
up there yet.
Yeah.
And I think that they really like helping as well, like carrying things upstairs and, you know, just being in the school more in a different, seeing it through different eyes behind the scenes. Like, oh, this is, like they need help. This is how it happens, you know.
Right. Right. Be the change you want to see in the world. Yeah. And
For me, I feel like it's I had teenagers and one teenager, so me volunteering shows my high schooler that I'm teaming up with the teachers,
yeah, that's true.
you know, to help them get what they need. So they know that I'm watching too,
Yeah,
and
and
this is a team.
And respect factor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Showing respect from being on the outside, you
Yes.
know, and what their expectations are, and their profession, you know, this profession of teaching and support staff, our schools, like every profession is incredibly demanding, and at the same time with supportive families. I would say, I'd go out on a limb and be confident about, you know, my role as a volunteer over all these years and supporting the elementary, middle, and high school. Absolutely, we have an engaged city of community members, positively passionate about public education, passionate about you know, supporting every student where they are, student-centered. I would hope that with always room for improvement, always appreciate constructive feedback. absolutely not perfect. But with the team, I believe, in the school district, at each of our school communities, helping out our administrators, this landscape is very unique right now in public education. It's being challenged on many fronts. If families feel that they can connect with the administration, principal, assistant principals, the front desk, they add the first person you see, bringing your children to the school, making those connections, introducing yourselves, and the PTOs being the arm of the families that make up those schools. We're very fortunate. So, I truly appreciate everybody's support and all of the names that listed, but also all the families that aren't names that aren't listed, who do those drop-offs, help out, carpools. We know that busing, we're very fortunate to be in the city, so those unique opportunities to be able to go to the Flynn, we could walk to go to other events, potentially walking to Echo, field trips that I know all of our city schools cherish and are expensive, but without the busing cost. And now with the shortage of bus drivers, those experiences at the elementary and middle school level are valuable. And I know our faculty and staff lean on the PTO for those extra funds, enrichment funds we call them, or had called them. And I wrote at the end the strategic plan. It all goes back to what are our priorities. Again, something that we have on our website, but when Superintendent Flanagan came to Burlington, now we're on our third year, under his leadership, we created with a task force made up of community members, public school families and students, our strategic plan starting in 2022 to 2027. And it's made up of 5 priority areas. And as we welcome back public school families and our community supporting us to the opening of our public schools, I wanted to focus this month and thank you with your presence being here tonight, what it means as our priority area number 1, well-being and belonging. That means that students, families, and staff will experience a sense of belonging, and students and staff will feel their well-being is supported in our district. That happens at the ground up, from the first experience a child has walking into a school, to their teacher, to their specialist teacher, to their coaches after school, and to their families that make up at pickup time for the elementary school, middle school. It's a mixed bag of people, students getting in cars or not, but feeling that sense of community within the Burlington School District. And I'm sure, or maybe, I won't assume, but evidence shows that when parents and caregivers are involved in their children's education, students' success rate increases. And that's on all levels of academic, social, emotional, again, not being in the education field myself, but learning more about it as a volunteer. These things resonate. You see proof positive, showing up and kids can't get out of bed, but if there's something happening that morning that the PTO is doing, they're up before you, excited to be a part of that community and taking a avid role in it. Are there any other things that I might have missed that you want to talk about, or talked about meetings, engagements, fundraising that you'd want to share, or ways to things you're looking forward to in the school year, maybe that.
I'm just glad we're able to have all of the events again post-COVID, mostly post-COVID. It's so nice to just have everybody back together in our big, like for Edmonds Elementary, our big community events that we do. We do a multicultural night. It has a new name. It's Family Engagement Night, but it's just wonderful to see everybody back in the gym, enjoying each other and getting to know new families that have come, and that's just been great.
Great.
For sure.
What are you looking forward to at the high school level?
At the high school level, let's see.
Well, I can say this. I know you've had your children athletes since we don't have a gym. You've been very supportive as a parent as we've used UVM's gymnasium
Yes.
and St.
St.
Michael's,
Mike's.
and helping with us, Seahorse Pride sponsored a bus to get to students from BHS to St. Michael's to watch your
Yeah.
sons play in the finals of the basketball. So things that you could say, like where there might be opportunities where Seahorse Pride can help out or communicate out, like where are these games happening, or
yeah.
how can we help students communicate so that we have a sense of community. But you were one of those parents that let people know where we were going to be so that
Yeah.
we had fans.
Most of the kids have group chats where they contact each other and let
Yes.
each other know what's going on. So a
Yeah.
lot of times they have to tell me,
Where to go.
what's going on.
Right.
Because they keep up. And a lot of sports, the teams have their own little personal group chat.
Right.
But the season was interesting. It wasn't a dull moment with all the travel.
Yeah.
Couldn't get bored, and I don't know. I think it kept them in tune, because it's like, what's next?
Yeah, they had to be.
Yeah.
Because you weren't sure, because it did change weekly.
Yeah,
When
so it
gyms
kept
were
them
available.
Yes,
Yeah.
it kept
And
them
all
busy.
sports. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Alert.
so it was the maturity factor of,
Yes.
and the weekly newsletter that the principal put out.
Yes.
What's Up BHS? I know that
That
had our district athletic director Q
Yes.
Coron put out that weekly
Yes, he
update that
does.
helped out. But
And that part is for me.
yes, that was
With the
good.
kid.
Yes, true. That was good. And Carrie, how about you?
Again, echoing what you mentioned, Gretchen, just being in person, and I think the big thing kids are excited about is being able to have school dances again.
Say that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, last year we could only have one, but hoping to get a fall one and a spring one.
Yes.
And I'm not on the PTO at the high school, but I do have a child there, and I'm really excited about that rooftop garden,
Yes.
and I hope to see it someday.
You absolutely will. That's a great point. We had the parking garage that abuts our downtown BHS, the top floor of the parking garage. We received a grant, and we put up, through 3 BHS faculty and staff members and a cohort of students at the end of the last school year in June worked hard to put together these incredible large planters with plants and picnic tables, and we had the welcome back. Seahorse Pride did the welcome back faculty breakfast up there for the first in-service day, and it is the most spectacular view of the lake and fresh air and blue sky for a windowless school. Many schools, I know Jory Hurst, one of our English teachers, was already bringing students up there for an outdoor class. So to utilize that in the warm months is absolutely one of those things that the Seahorse Pride, the district, everyone thought in working with the city, it's a city-owned parking garage, can we take some of these spaces offline and use them as an outdoor space? So thank you so much for bringing that up, because that was a huge plus for our students. Last year, some seniors went rogue and went up there and used the opportunity just as a breakfast before it was actually developed, and we thought, hey, they're onto something. If they're all going to meet up there and they have bagels and orange juice, it was perfect for us to transition. So thank you for that memory, because some schools, a lot of our schools are fortunate to have great green space. I know we have our facilities crew that takes care of all and they're another, again, department in need of support and help. Which brings me to just one more thing, that to take care of all our school properties and mow all our lawns and our grasses and our fields. But it does also come down to, there's no budget for beautification for our schools. So it is the PTO that raises the funds, that puts out potential flowers or cleans up around the front entrance. I think of CP Smith and JJ Flynn, or Champlain, where there is and the Edmonds campus IAA. I know, I remember when IAA built their sign, as well as SA's entrance and rear garden. So we do rely on, that's a lot of hard work for parent volunteers. And
We had a parent at Edmonds Elementary that got a grant to put in a pollinator garden at Edmonds. So we have a new one around the sign and then along the playground. So
Wow.
it's the parents.
Yeah, the parents that did it.
families.
And I remember the original playground was the parents before I had met a woman who, 20 years ago now had said, we put in that playground with the wood chips. And now, for example, IEA, the district is supporting that new playground, but looking to the parents for all the pretty flowers and plantings around and the gardens. I forgot the woman, her name escapes me, who helped out with IEA, but I'll remember it after. But again, community, she was a community member, volunteer, helping out with the most incredible.
Bonnie Ecker.
Yes, thank you, Carrie. Bonnie Acker, amazing, my role model.
amazing.
She's amazing. So, community member, giving back to our public schools and our communities. Well, thank you so much, all of you, for the three of you, for helping out. I think my last slide was saying thank you, volunteers, and to all our public school families. You are the heartbeat, what makes up Burlington School District. I volunteer because I know other families and caregivers lean in as well for our Burlington Public Schools and our students. I just can't thank you enough, and I'm excited to kick off the September school year with CCTV here as our Commissioner Corner. We come monthly to you to give updates on our schools, and this one was really exciting and special to me because our PTOs are really absolutely essential, and I know our principals, our faculty and staff think the world of you because you lean in and help them and their communities grow. So thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for all you do.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yes, thank
Thanks for being here.